This is Servants of the Overlord on Epic Elite. So this quest is surprisingly difficult. After you run it on Heroic, you might assume it's a pretty easy quest, but there's a few parts of it that are more difficult on the Epic version on Elite. The first two Drow areas you come into contact with uh, are very tough. You can get disintegrated. There's a lot of spells that get cast on you, and then the end fight is very tough. So with two people, it'll be easier because we'd split up the boss fights. But that fight, especially the solo, can be pretty tough. So I might skip this one. Uh, I think I'd run an epic hard, no problem. I'd probably skip it an epic elite until I was a higher level. So but again, this is a first life build with free-to-play limitations, so that's part of it as well.
You have
I
entered the
think once you have a
nether realm of
couple lives under
Kyber.
your belt and some better
A
gear,
magical barrier
you could run
built
this
by
on
the
Epic
silver
Elite
flame grows in the path ahead.
within a few lives, pretty easily. So in some other places, fiendish fighters drop planar shards, which could be used for trading in bags, but sadly not these fiendish spiders. There's an optional chest over
Dusty
there.
remains
I'm
lie
gonna
in
skip
front of
it.
a sealed stone door on the far side of the room.
And so one thing that's tougher here are these fire reavers. Not so much here because there's only two, but there's another area coming up where there's several, and they could do some pretty serious damage pretty quickly. So I only have 2 ranks of Legendary Dreadnought, but I'm already seeing an improvement in DPS. But unfortunately, most of the benefits of Legendary Dreadnought come at the very end, the last 2 ranks. So we'll be in it, we'll be out of it, and then, alright. I think there must be a champion fighter in there somewhere. And Fiendish Spiders, unlike most spiders, Holy Retribution work, but because anything fiendish is going to be evil. This is the area I was telling you about. Very, very difficult.
The drow here are intently prying dragon shards.
Probably should have let my Holy Retribution be up of the timer. Back him up a little bit. Holy Retribution. Clear him out. And with 2 people, it's not as bad because the aggro gets split amongst 2 people, right? But when you're soloing, all this aggro is all on you. So that looked kind of easy there, but it's on soloing it'll feel a lot harder. This area coming up, not as bad as the first area, but also another area that can be a little bit tough, surprisingly. Like you go in there, all gangbusters thinking it's going to be easy, and then it turns out to be sort of hard. See, they're all death warded, so my Holy Retribution won't do anything. Except on maybe on the Fiendish Spiders that we get death warded.
The only way forward is down into Kyber's depths.
A couple of demons coming up. The Hezrus hit pretty hard. Holy Retribution works pretty good on that guy. Straight ahead isn't optional. I'm going to skip that, and then this is the way forward. To get forward, we have to get 2 crests, which are this direction. To the right is another optional path I'm going to skip.
A curiously well-worn path.
And here's the Fire Reaver area I was telling you about. That's going to be a little tough. It'll be a little easier because we're going to probably have this split amongst 2 people. He's got some AoE damage that he can do. I probably should have gone on this. So it's better to get 2 with 2-handed fighting than 1. But that's part of what makes this area a little bit tough as they separate. So I'm pretty regularly seeing crit numbers over 1,500 now.
The passageway is eerily quiet.
And it almost makes me think if Legendary Dreadnought might be a little bug because I was technically supposed to be getting more melee power from Unyielding Sentinel per core, but it sure seems like melee it's a lot stronger here even with lower ranks. But part of that could be this, and that's why it's kind of good to kind of play around with things. Sometimes you kind of discover some things. But this critical damage, I'm getting +6 to critical hits before weapon multipliers, so that's probably really adding more than you might expect. No matter how much I race Chronivere, I'll never get the crest before first. No, maybe I think actually Chronovire's letting me. So there's an optional up here. I think that it's really tough to solo. I don't think the odds of soloing it are very good. The 2 of us could probably handle it, but we're going to skip it for now. If you ever get in a party, I'd recommend doing it on lower difficulties first. It is a fun optional. It's a pressure cooker optional. You have to pull a lever while you've got a bunch of things trying to kill you. And it's not like you pull a regular lever pull. It's a slow lever pull that takes like 20 seconds, or I don't remember the exact time, but it's pretty crazy. So I think when it was a relatively new quest, there's a bow and a crossbow, both that came from this quest, that have this ability called blunted ammunition. And one of the big problems with archers is when they end up having like if I have an enemy that's getting a big damage reduction and slashing, I just change to a quarterstaff, no problem, right? Or if it requires piercing, I can change to, you know, another weapon if I had to. But for a ranged character, everything's always piercing. So
The
if there's
heat
big
grows
damage
more
reduction against
oppressive
piercing,
as the
that's
path
really tough
drops
for a ranger.
deeper into the heart of Kyber.
But they had this thing called blunted ammunition here that did blunt damage. Looks like Chronogir is wanting to do the optional here, so let's just do that. It's not super hard. It has an aimed item, so most groups like to do it. I usually skip it. It's kind of like waves of hellhounds. And then eventually a boss hellhound. Well, that Holy Retribution worked pretty good. And here's the boss, Flame Fang. And it drops a named item called Flame Ward. Which I can't remember if it's a great club or a club, but a good chance we could get it.
Flame Fang is vanished in a burst of heat and fire, snarling in anger.
Yeah, here it is, Fury of the Flame. It's a maul. So, not a horrible weapon. Speaking of backup weapons for where we require blunt damage. Plus, look, it's adamantine. So that's a good thing. Alright, adamantine. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right or not. Alright. I'm going to take this guy. He'll take the other guy. So we kill these two first, then we kill the drow. There's a delay between when they proc and the drow procs. But the floor is going to fall out. So I kind of get ready to stand. Alright, now the drow. I don't think Chronogir is going to shrine. And I don't need to shrine, and Hireling has plenty of spell points. Alright, so Chronogir will talk to the boss. I'll just go here and do my big cleave. See if I can get some kills in pretty quick. Worked pretty good. Got them all but two. Alright, now we're going to have waves of enemies starting in this area. And we do have to worry about stuff getting stuck in the wall, but fortunately, oh, Garrett didn't do too well there. Let me get rid of these guys so I can get him raised. Let me give him a energy resist. There we go. So there's some pretty heavy damage. I'm going to back up a little. Scroll of double crossbow. That's the bow I was talking about that gives you double damage. All right, we got some fiendish. I'm going to try to save my Holy Retribution for a wave coming up soon with demons. There's also a big wave of drow and spiders. Although that might have been what killed Garrett, was that wave. Okay, this is the one I saw. This is the big wave of drow and spiders. I'm going to come back here and then try to get a good holy retribution. I got quite a few. Alright, now we have the demon coming up. And I think I'd rather use it on that big wave than these guys, but it should be probably before these are done, I'll get it recharged. Alright, that helps. Yeah, to me, the Holy Retribution is sort of the MVP cleave that we have. It's definitely the best cleave, I think, in the game, actually. It's pretty good. And, you know, I talked about difficult. This part's no picnic either. You know, groups used to wipe in this part quite a bit. This part I don't think would be too challenging would be too bad for us. I think we could solo it because we have the Holy Retribution on a pretty short timer, a reasonable time, not super short, but short enough. Okay, this is the last wave. So I'm going to stand up here. Chrono's going to go down there and take the drow. And I'll take the Herzu. I think the Herzu has a lot more hit points, but when Chronovir's done with the drow, he'll come help with the Herzu. So I'm going to try to get the Herzu. Oh, unfortunately, I'm going to have to get him. He's got them both. Alright, well, I didn't do my job there. I need to... Okay, I think I got him now. Use my... Uh-oh, CC. And let me get Garrett up. Alright, let me pull the Herzu over here. There we go. So now we have them just sort of one-on-one. It's a lot easier this way. Unfortunately, this Chaos Hammer is tough. I should have probably taken the Drow because Chaos Hammer is only really a problem for Lawful, and you can see how much it slows me down. It's a huge, huge decrease to DPS for me. And it's probably going to be... Although that Chaos Hammer could have possibly come from the Drow. In fact, now that I think about it, it probably came from the Drow, and not from the this guy. Alright. There we go. And now we just go back here and talk to the end person. Seal of the Bow of Silver Flame. So that's the other item I was talking about, that it used to be that the seals also dropped in that other chest. So it was a very popular chest, but now the seals only drop in here. And that is Servants of the Overlord on Epic Elite.